Okay, good afternoon. It is Monday, July the 10th. Beautiful day, sunshine out there. Got a little busy this morning, so I didn't have time to record the video, so I'm doing it this afternoon. We're going straight into the King James Bible, the book of Acts, chapter 16, and this is verses 22 to 40. And if you remember, Paul had just cast out a spirit from the young girl who was making money for her masters. And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes and commanded to beat them. And when they had laid many stripes upon them, they cast them into prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely, who, having received such a charge, thrust them into the inner prison, and made their feet fast in the stocks. And at midnight Paul and Silas prayed, and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaking. And immediately all doors were opened, and everyone's bands were loosed. And the keeper of the prison, awaking out of his sleep, and seeing the prison doors open, he drew out his sword and would have killed himself, supposing that the prisoners had fled. But Paul cried with a loud voice, saying, "Do thyself no harm, for we are all here." Then he called for a light and sprang in and came trembling, and fell down before Paul and Silas, and brought them out and said, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" And they said, "Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved, and thy house." And they spake unto him the word of the Lord, and to all that were in his house. And he took them the same hour of the night, and washed their stripes, and was baptized, he and all his, straightway. And when he had brought them into his house, he set meat before them, and rejoiced, believing in God with all his house. And when it was day, the magistrates sent sergeants, saying, "Let those men go." And the keeper of the prison told us, saying to Paul, "The magistrates have sent to let you go. Now therefore depart, and go in peace." But Paul said unto them, "They have beaten us openly, uncondemned, being Romans, and have cast us into prison. And now do they thrust us out privily? Nay, verily, but let them come themselves and fetch us out." And the sergeants told these words unto the magistrates, and they feared when they heard that they were Romans. And when they came and besought them and brought them out, and desired them to depart out of the city. And they went out of the prison, and entered into the house of Lydia. And when they had seen the brethren, they comforted them and departed. Even in a moment, they'd been beaten. I mean, they had their clothes removed, and they were whipped and beaten. Now you can imagine. And then they were put into stocks by their feet. They were chained up. They had laid many stripes on them and cast them into prison. I don't think any of us have ever experienced a beating for Christ. But Paul and Silas prayed and praised God. You know, they weren't there on their knees going, "Oh God, why did you let this happen to us? Why? What have we done wrong? What did I do?" No, they just praised God. They took a beating for God, and they praised. And the prisoners could hear them, and they were singing. Can you imagine the pain on their backs? You know, I mean, to have your garments removed and then beaten, your skin would be open. You would be prone to infection. You would be bleeding. You would be sore. All the nerve endings on your skin are just, alive with pain. And they didn't dare and bemoan their lot. They praised God and they sang. We're going to be called to do that. We're going to be called to do that one day. In extreme adversity, we're going to be called to sing God's praises. You're not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to do it unless I build my faith on a foundation that is rock solid, Jesus Christ. Do you see the pattern that's being formed here? And yet, in everything that happened, the earthquake and the shackles falling off, I mean, that's a supernatural event. The jailer thought he was going to have to commit suicide because he was going to be punished severely for all the prisoners running away, but they didn't. Paul and Silas were still there, and all the rest of the prisoners that had been listening. So what happens? The jailer and his family get converted to Christianity. In the deepest of our adversities may come some of our greatest works. I just watched a video from Alpha and Omega, and it says that the differences between trials from God and temptations from Satan. Satan can't do anything without permission from God, and God will not allow you to be tempted beyond your means. That is scripturally correct. God will not allow you to be tempted beyond your means or capability. After 40 days and 40 nights, after 40 days and 40 nights, Jesus Christ was tempted. Not during that time, after that time. He was starving, he was weak, he was thirsty, he was demoralized. He'd been wandering around in the wilderness, and when he was at his physical, mental, spiritual lowest point in his life, in comes Satan offering him temptations. Temptations are things that we like, or things that we've fallen foul of before. Satan knows our weaknesses. Tests are tests from God to strengthen us. Now, resisting temptation can strengthen us as well. But God will test us. There's a difference. So, we move on. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day. It's a little breezy out there. I think the humidity's actually gone down a bit. It doesn't feel so oppressive. It's a great day. It's another day the Lord has made because he loves us, and I love you too. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.